let's take a look at your newest set. Okay, you wanted to visit your friend. You didn't get a chance. Let's see what you wrote to him. Dear Mark, hey there. I hope everything is okay. I regret to inform you that there would be a change of plan regarding our previous conversation. I decided to bring along my mother. She's an avid fan of the late Princess Diana. She's in her golden years already. I know that she wants to travel out of the country, especially to visit the United Kingdom. So I arranged a 3 days tour related to the royal family that I believe will make her pleased, but the only available slot is during our rendezvous. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I see here that there are a number of problems. I sense that you've misunderstood the topic. Take a look at what it says here. You recently took a visit. You had a plan to see your friend, but you couldn't. All this is in the past. So it's not about a trip you're going to take, but it's about a trip you already took, and now you are apologizing to your friend. Okay? So all of this is wrong about there being a change of plan for the future. That's the first thing. The second thing is some of this tone was a little inappropriate and some of the grammar was a little not entirely correct. So let's look at it. First of all, dear Mark, hey there, I hope everything is okay. Now I'm all right with this. I mean, it is an informal letter and we do talk like that, but I definitely didn't like your paragraphing. So I would have preferred, because this is an English test and you do want to show that you understand basic constructs and concepts about writing letters, I probably wouldn't have paragraphed like this. I probably would have said, Dear Mark, how are you? I hope everything is okay. Or just, Dear Mark, I hope everything is okay. And then include that in the paragraph. Don't leave it on its own. Then here, this is incorrect. You don't say, I regret to inform you. This is very formal. Okay? Even if you were going to break some bad news to Mark, you wouldn't do it like this. You would say, hey, I'm really sorry to break some bad news. Okay? I'm really sorry, but I have to share some bad news with you. Or I'm really sorry, but yeah, I have to break some bad news to you. So that would have been okay if this were correct and if we were talking about future, which we are not. So all of this shows a misunderstanding of the task, okay? So what you could have done is you could have said, hi, Mark. I hope everything is okay. I just want to apologize to you once again regarding not being able to see you. What you may not know is that I didn't get to see you because at the last minute I decided to bring along my mother, who is an avid fan of the late Princess Diana. Now, this to me was irrelevant. She's in her golden years already. I didn't add anything. It felt like a very short, choppy little sentence that didn't link to either the previous sentence or the following, so I would just take it out. Okay, and then she really wanted to travel out of the country, especially to visit the United Kingdom. So, at the last minute, I arranged a 3-day tour with her, get rid of the comma, related to the royal family, full stop. You can't imagine how happy she was about this. Unfortunately, the only available slot was during our meetup time or something like that. Rendezvous sounds a little strange. Okay, so that's how I would have changed this to make it a little more relevant. Let's move on. Again, sorry, so sorry for any inconvenience caused. I really hope you maybe didn't request a holiday, or I really hope you hadn't requested a holiday, would have been okay. If that's the case, I pray your boss will be kind enough to reschedule it. I like the language, but again, since all of this is talking about future, it's a little strange now. But I sincerely hope we can set another date. How about 1 week? What? How about 1 week before a previous engagement? I don't understand that. Do you mean 1 week? I'm so confused right here because I don't really understand this. And if you, okay, so I'm afraid I don't understand either sentences here. Let's see. So I can't fix this because I'm not really clear. I mean, okay, and then this is not a full sentence. So instead you could say, let me know if you would like anything for me to bring from here. That would have been okay, but it doesn't need a question mark. It needs a sentence. It needs a full stop. Okay? Because it's kind of like an indirect question. Let me know if you would like me to bring anything. So it doesn't need a question mark. Okay? All right. Then I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely yours. And that's fine. So, as you can see, the biggest problem for me was the fact that you didn't really understand this. So, you didn't entirely answer the question. Okay. And then, there was some awkwardness in some of the language used. So, just be aware of that and work on making those corrections. Let's take a look now at your task 2 about fast food replacing traditional food. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay. This looks rather long. Let's see what you did in terms of a word count here. Let's see. Wow, it's 466 words. So my first question to you is, did this take you 40 minutes or less? Because if it took you more, then this is a habit you want to get out of. Restrict yourself as much as possible to the 40 minutes that you have for this. So it's just a good study habit to get into. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at what you wrote about this. Health experts throughout both the developed and hold on. What happened here? Health experts throughout both. You don't mean both the developed world. You mean both the developed and developing world have debated whether commercial food outweighs the advantage of this service. I don't know what service you mean. This is unclear to me. Yeah. I'm assuming that you mean this service is supposed to mean commercial food, but that doesn't really translate. Like, it doesn't make sense in English. So you need to rephrase it. Maybe something like, health experts throughout both the developed and developing world have debated whether the drawbacks of fast food outweigh the advantages that it provides, or that they provide. I said fast foods. So that would have made more sense. This essay will argue the gravity of disadvantages of fast food by using examples from the United States Department of Health and Human Services and World Health Organization to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, fine. On one hand, there is ample evidence, okay, that fast food has a negative impact on society down to family units, especially to the metropolitan areas in the developed countries. Get rid of the here. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, endangerment of distinctiveness of one's country's food. That's not a full sentence. The central reason behind this is twofold. Here, it would have been nice to have a colon. Let's see. How about, let's see, the central reason behind this is twofold. And then colon, firstly, the endangerment of this. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this. Let's see if we can do one more time something else with it. The central reason behind this is twofold. And then colon. Firstly, the distinctiveness of one's country's food is endangered. There we go. That works. That is because the absence of traditional food on the family table, I don't understand this word, and in line to fast food will lead to lack of awareness of the young family members who will not be able to learn from them. This is unclear. All right, you can see I already corrected the grammar, but still, who does this them refer to? You had a lot of different nouns here, and so I don't know what this them refers to. For instance, in Italy, the traditional way of making pasta is currently endangered. For most of the manufacturers are machine operated, which is different from the traditional way. All right, now part of the problem here is that this isn't fast food. So, I mean, nobody would say that Italian pasta is fast food. So, this example is not relevant. Think about what we mean by fast food. We mean, commercially prepared, available food, which you can get in minutes. Okay. So this doesn't really work as an example. Okay. All right. So, for most of the manufacturers are machine operated, which is different from the traditional way. Secondly, parents tend to cook instant meals or order due to lack of energy and time. Okay, let me see. There's no reason behind this. Okay. For instance, in Los Angeles, residents rely on food deliveries for meals at least I don't understand this, 5-day meals. I don't understand what that means. So rely on food deliveries for meals at least 5 days a week. That makes sense. According to the latest statistics published by the United States Department of Health and Human Services, there's an increase of mortality rate related to unhealthy food intake, singular. They notice the relevance from the presence of food deliveries. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that fast food has a grave influence on society. All right, now, I want to also remind you that food delivery does not necessarily mean fast food delivery, okay? In a lot of places, you could order from your favorite restaurant, and that's not necessarily fast food. So be careful about some of these terms you use. They are not interchangeable. They are not always synonyms. And so that's going to cost you in terms of both task achievement and perhaps even in vocabulary. Because you're kind of using some of these things interchangeably, even though they're not synonyms, that's going to be a problem. Okay? All right. Let's see. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to look again at your main ideas and give you some suggestions about how you could have organized all of this and how you could have developed your paragraph a little better. So what did you tell us here? You said that this fast food has a negative impact, and there are two reasons. Because our food culture is endangered. Okay. Let's see. So what happens is because many people eat fast food, they then they then forget the old ways of cooking, the old meals, the old cuisine, and then this gets lost over time. Okay, so because there's a lack of awareness of the family members who no longer know how to make certain foods. Okay. Um, So that would have been okay. And then you could have said something like, rather than saying this thing about pasta, you could have said that, for example, um, in Italy, I don't know what you want to say, maybe like some prepared dish is being lost because nowadays many young people are turning to burgers and fries available at their local corner store. So that would have been a more relevant example, but not this idea of pasta being prepared in a factory. That doesn't make sense. It's not fast food. You know what I mean? Okay. And then you could have said here, secondly, this thing about parents. So we talked about food culture, which affects society. And then you could have said that, okay, here, when you're talking about families, you could have said, secondly, um, family ties are weakened through reliance on fast food. Whereas in the past, statistics show that families spent 10 hours a week cooking together and communicating during that time. Recent studies show that this time has lessened by half. Um, so it is easy to assume that people are not bonding with their family members as much as they used to. Okay, so do you understand what I'm saying? Make the relevance to how this affects the family negatively. You could say that many family members are now eating alone, whereas they used to eat together with a family prepared meal. And so this is really weakening the ties within the family. Okay, so those are just some suggestions. Those aren't certainly the only suggestions for this, but just to give you an idea of what you could have done with this. All right, let's move on. Although there are cases that indulging in fast food promotes social rendezvous. I don't understand this. What do you mean by social rendezvous? Gratification of cravings, and it even aids people in strenuous activity. Favoring against devouring traditional food cannot. All right. I don't know what's happening with your grammar here, Anna, and I also don't really agree with this sentence structure at this point. Now, typically when we use this sentence structure, we use it more or less summarize something we've said in the previous paragraph. So you could say something like, yeah, I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here. Let me just, yeah. What we usually do is say, for example, you're going to argue the negatives of something, and then you're going to argue the positives of something. What you can do is you can say, although there are many negatives of something, the positives about this cannot be overstated. Okay, that's how we typically do this. So this sentence here for me doesn't really make a lot of sense, either in terms of how it connects to your ideas. So in terms of coherence and cohesion, it doesn't really fit, but also grammatically, it's just fraught with a lot of mistakes. So probably too many for me to correct. It's a very long sentence. Take a look at how long it goes, okay? Too long, and you've lost me at some point. So let me try to read it one more time. Although there are cases, I would have said when indulging in fast food promotes social rendezvous, I don't understand that, gratification of cravings, and even aids people in strenuous activity, favoring against devouring traditional food, it doesn't make sense. Okay? You can't say this although, you can't say this overstated. This whole thing about strenuous activity, I didn't understand it. This is largely because of health issues associated with fast food chains. So, I'm trying to fix it. I really can't. There's just mistakes throughout it, and so it just needs to be totally rewritten. Okay. These outlets not cater, but create foods that tend to be high in saturated fat, carbohydrates, salt, and calories, which are linked to cardiovascular disease, colorectal cancer, obesity, and high cholesterol. In addition, overindulgence of this will cost, I don't know who that is. Do you mean him? Do you mean them? I'm not sure. But I don't really know either way who this would refer to. Either malnourishment or satiation of both or one micronutrient or macronutrient. Again, this is a little confusing. Either, all right, I don't understand this. How does that work? Like malnourishment or satiation? That's very confusing to me. So I'm really sorry that I can't understand what you're trying to say here. For example, according to recent empirical research by the World Health Organization, consistent with the line of thinking is that obesity is starting to penetrate the youth at a rapid rate since. Okay, consistent with this line of thinking is that obesity has started to penetrate the youth at a rapid rate since the year 2000. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that frequent consumption of fast food, not imperils, that's the wrong word. Let's see, maybe propels the public to early mortality and also increases the chances of various diseases. Okay. So should I assume here that you're talking about the individual? Maybe you are. But you can probably guess, there was so much error here and so much like lack of coherence where I wasn't really sure what you were trying to say that it's really difficult to kind of pick out what you're trying to say. It was really rather problematic, and so I hate to say it. I really wasn't clear what this paragraph was about and what you were trying to say because of the number of errors. All right, let's go into your conclusion. From the justification and examples given, I firmly believe that dire consequences of health at a wide range of age of population by overindulgence. All right, again, confusing. I believe that dire health consequences in a wide range of ages from overindulgence of. All right, see, you know what's happening here? You have a that clause. And so we're expecting a verb to come after this, but there's no verb. So again, grammar is creating a huge problem here. You could have said, I firmly believe that there are dire consequences, dire health consequences in a range of ages by overindulgence of commercial fast food. It is predicted that health organizations, public and private, in America will intervene to control the trend of the mortality rate and aim to reduce the rate by 90% in 5 years. All right, now for me, this is a little too specific for you to be ending your essay with. Usually we want a broader, more general statement here, not something quite so specific, okay? So you could have said something like, health organizations in America will intervene to control this trend in the future to prevent early mortality. Full stop. All right, but this is just way too specific. It doesn't belong in a conclusion. All right, so you should have a lot of information about what worked in this essay, what did not work. As you know, a lot of grammar errors here, so I want you to work on them. I want you to correct them. I want you to, focus on maybe higher accuracy so we don't lose coherence. It's really important. We have to be clear what you're saying, and you don't want to create a strain on the examiner. If the examiner has to read a sentence more than twice, that's a strain, and it's difficult to read and then to understand what the message is and to continue with that essay. All right, so go ahead, correct these. Let's see more work from you. I know that you will try to apply some of the things we've talked about today. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, good luck.